Good evening, everyone. This is Jen Slay in Conversation, and we have a very special guest tonight. In Conversation is a podcast where we talk to some really interesting people from all over the world, talking about how to improve our health, our body, our minds, and our spirits. I've been a social worker for the last 20 years, and what I've noticed is that it's through stories that we're really able to help and support one another. And today's guest is Joanna Rogister. And Joanna is a wellness renegade, classical homeopath, and a registered holistic nutritionist. Joanna shares her expertise as an international speaker, wellness coach, and published author, while also running her own private practice in London, Ontario. She is an outspoken advocate for natural health practices and alternative therapy. She believes strongly that we as humans are designed to heal ourselves, and she provides the tools so that each person can complete the process. Good evening, Joanna.
Hey, Jen, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Thank you so much. So, what is homeopathy? Or am I even pronouncing it properly?
Just a slight correction. It's homeopathy.
Homeopathy. Okay.
That's okay. Homeopathy is a practice of medicine that's been around for about 250 years. Mm-hmm. Homeopathy is actually the second most widely practiced medicine in the world after traditional Chinese medicine. And it's a practice that incorporates a law of similars rather than a law of opposites, which is what conventional medicine practice, the philosophy of conventional medicine. So what I mean by that is that like cures like. So for example, if you have poison ivy, you're going to have a red rash. You're going to have some itching, irritation. Mm-hmm. You may be, feel better when you move, but too much exercise, makes you feel worse. There's certain, symptoms of poison ivy. Uh-huh. But if you have poison ivy, I'm actually going to give you the remedy drawn from a poison ivy plant because it stimulates your body to heal itself in that way.
Oh.
So if that makes sense. So with conventional medicine, if you have insomnia, I'm going to give you medicine that's going to put you to sleep. But with homeopathy, if you have insomnia, I'm going to find a remedy. And remedies are all natural from plants, minerals, insect venoms, things like that. I'm going to find you a remedy that would cause you to have insomnia if I gave it to a healthy person.
So give more of it so that the body naturally works to heal itself.
Right, yeah, in specific areas. So it's all about bringing your body, whether you call it your immune system, your vital force, whatever you call it, it's all about bringing yourself back to balance and stimulating the body to heal itself.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And so this medicine has been around or this practice of medicine has been around for over 200 years, you said?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Samuel Hahnemann in Germany back in the 1700s, I think it was, at the end of the 1700s, 1800s, he started researching it and working with it more. It's actually been around that, Hippocrates used it, giving like cures like, thousands of years ago. So it's been around for a long time, but Samuel Hahnemann in Germany started to really research it and practice it. And he started with homeopathy, we actually call it approving, where we actually give homeopathic remedies to healthy people, and then we see the response that they get. So he started doing that. So, and that's when he really started to develop, and it came to the Americas. But there's no money in homeopathy, so it was really pushed down and suppressed because if you can't make money from it, then it can't work. Right?
So it's truly a way of healing thyself.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Very nice. So I went to your website, which is lifestageholistics.com. I went onto your website and I saw something that grabbed my attention right away because for part of my time as an entrepreneur, I was into makeup and helping women look and feel beautiful. And I saw the anti-aging. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if people saw this, they'd be running to it. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, there's so much that we can do. Health is all about a holistic approach, the mental, the physical, and emotional. So, you have to approach all three areas, but there's lots that you can do, to change the way you look at life and change the way you think about life. So look at your emotions, and because emotions can drain us and they can age us. And think of the last time that you spent time with someone that was very negative or complained a lot. You came away feeling exhausted. Yeah. So we can change, that energy that was taken away from you or was drawn away from you changes the way you feel. And so, but not only does someone else affect you, but you can affect yourself. So by having a more positive outlook on life and changing the way you see the world will change. But there's also that emotional part, that negative emotions make us older. And so also does the food that we eat. So there's so much that goes into the diet, from supplements to, changing the way we eat our food even. But, one of the things, the ketogenic diet, it's been in the news a lot lately. You probably heard about it. It's a high fat, medium protein, low carb diet. And it's an amazing diet from some respects, in that it really, it increases our cognitive function, so our brains work better. It improves our skin, so our skin looks better. It improves the way that our whole bodies work, because we work more efficiently when we have a higher level of good fats in our body. And that's what the ketogenic diet does. Unfortunately, the ketogenic diet is a bit of a challenge to follow, because in order to cut out carbs, you have to almost cut them out completely, which means about bringing them down to about 15 grams of carbs, which if you think a small apple is about 15 grams of carbs, you can see how challenging it would be. Yeah. But there are some products on the market now. They're exogenous ketones that put ketones into our body, and ketones are created in our kidneys when our body uses fat for energy. Okay. So those ketones, whether they're created by our bodies or taken in exogenely, have so many benefits and are very anti-aging. So you can really see that, the food that we eat, the products that we put on our skin, the way we think, all of these things affect how we age. And so we can change. I started down my path of being the wellness renegade years ago when I developed a Graves' disease, which is a hyperthyroid condition. It's an autoimmune condition where your body attacks your thyroid because it sees it as an invader for some reason. And, I went to my endocrinologist, and he said, there's no alternatives. You're going to be on drugs for the rest of your life. And I didn't know what else to do, of course, right, at the time. And so I went home and I took the drugs, but I started to change all those things I mentioned. I changed the way I operated in life. I was, doing a lot of things that were causing me stress. I also changed the way I was eating, and I changed my view of life. And so all these things added up, and I came off the drugs within about 3 months and never looked back. Oh. So that brought me back to school for first nutrition and became a registered holistic nutritionist. And then what I found was that nutrition is amazing and it can make significant changes, but I found that I didn't always know what brought about the change with nutrition, and it can take 3 or 4 months to make that change. And so then I started looking for something else, and I came upon classical homeopathy and went back to school for homeopathy after that. So I could really bring about change for people. And so that's now, now I call myself the wellness renegade, because I teach people natural therapies to heal themselves, because I've learned so many different ways of healing ourselves naturally. And so now I teach other people.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So there was a lot that you said in there. One of the things I want to kind of go back to is nutrition, because I know that when I take a trip to the grocery store, I am frustrated.
Yes.
Because I'm told that even if I'm buying fruits and vegetables, there's hardly any nutritional value in them anymore because of all the pesticides and everything and the way it's grown. And that even if I try and purchase organic foods in the grocery store, that there's a certain level it can be before it's not organic, but it might not be totally organic, if that makes any sense. And so it's just mind-blowing to me. I'm like, what am I supposed to feed myself? Because it's not even myself. I want to give my kids a chance. What I mean? And so I find it extremely frustrating taking a trip to the grocery store. Can you talk a little bit about how we can feed ourselves well. Because really, if we think of ourselves as a classic car, you don't want to just put garbage gas in it, right?
Right.
You want to put the good stuff in it. So it's the same with our bodies. We want to put the good stuff in it, but where do we find it? And how do we know?
Oh, it is a challenge. And in part, I became a nutritionist because there's so many myths about what's right for you. And, how do you know what's the right, if you're going to change your diet, what foods to put in your body, and then where do you buy them? So it is a challenge. And I would still, despite the fact that there is a lot of question out there about organic foods, I would still say that the majority of companies that state that the foods are organic are probably organic, especially in Canada. If you can go to some of the farmers markets on the weekend, a lot of the farmers there have organic foods that they just don't want to spend the price to certify that they're organic. So, but they're buying, good quality foods that they've eliminated the pesticides, or there's humane treatment of animals. So I think that you just really have to go out and spend the time. If you can go to a farmer's market and talk to the farmer that's there, or whoever the seller is, and find out what their practices are. Ideally, you still are going to buy organic over anything else, because organic, in theory, yes, but the majority of time, I do believe it's correct, organic does have more nutrient content within it, less pesticides, all the things that we really are looking for in our food. And ideally, it's local. Of course, in Canada, that can be a bit of a challenge, and especially with our geography. But, it is what it is. So as much as possible, buy organic, and just try and go as much as like a wide variety of food as possible. The brighter the color, the vegetables and the fruits, the more nutrients they have in them. So just look for a variety of foods. I have people quite often that come to me and they tell me, I eat a really healthy diet. I eat salads every day, and for dinner every night I have I have chicken, and I'll have beans, and I'll have carrots. It's so limited. So, try some new foods. And that's what I really try when I do nutrition plans, is try to introduce some variety. Like, try some different squashes, try some different mixed greens that they're out there. There's all kinds of leafy greens, kohlrabi, and, the different broccolis and cauliflowers that are out there. So just try different things. I take some of my clients to some of the grocery stores, like the Oriental grocery stores, because they have such a wide variety of fruits and vegetables that people just don't know what to do with. But, go on Epicure, there's so many websites that have amazing recipes, and pick a recipe and go and try it.
You'll go to the grocery store with your clients.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And so can you do that online as well? Like, they have you on Skype or something on their phone, and you're at the grocery store with them. Is that something you could do too?
Oh, I haven't done that, but I could.
Well, I think
With the miracle of technology.
A new business.
Great idea, Jen.
But that's awesome. That's really good, because I think if people have support to go and shop, it helps.
Yes.
A lot. So when we got to talking about all of this when we were at a vendor show with Delicioso. They were actually a guest a few weeks ago. And while there, you were telling me about the ketogenic diet. Can you tell our viewers about the ketogenic diet?
Sure. So it's high fat, medium protein, low carb. So you're talking 60 to 70% fats, but we're talking good fats here, not French fries and stuff like that.
So what would fat be?
So coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, flaxseed oil, goods like salmon, like fatty fish like salmon, some chicken and some meat, but you don't want to get too much meat. I tend to be a little bit biased because I'm vegetarian. Because I believe that we eat too much animal-based protein, unfortunately. It just doesn't do our bodies any favors. It can be acidic, so that can be an issue. But and also, the issue with a lot of people with ketogenic diets is they go, oh, now I can eat hamburgers and bacon all the time. Well, it's not that way.
Okay.
A true ketogenic diet is putting good fats. So yeah, like butter and ghee and the coconut oil and avocado oil, things like that. So you're going to add them, you're going to cook with them. Like an ideal ketogenic meal is actually like a homemade Caesar salad with a steak. Or like salmon that you fried in coconut oil, and you serve it like with guacamole with tomato and cucumber on riced cauliflower. And riced cauliflower is just cauliflower that you put through a food processor, and then you fry it up with some more coconut oil and some onion and garlic, and it's just amazing. And so you put that all together, but you also have to eliminate those carbs in order to ensure that your body's not looking for the glucose first, because your body will actually look for glucose, which is it's not our natural energy source, but it's become our traditional energy source. So our body looks for glucose because glucose burns up very quickly and then is gone, but it gives that quick energy source to the body. Whereas ketones take a little bit more time, but they last for about 3 hours in the body, so it's a much more efficient, longer lasting energy source. So that's where we want that good fats in our body to feed our body. But also our brains work much more effectively on ketones than they do on sugar. In fact, when our brain's out of balance with any disorder like anxiety, depression, PTSD, brain tumors, anything like that, our body will actually search for ketones because it works better on ketones, and it actually doesn't metabolize glucose as well when it's under any imbalance. In fact, they now feel that Alzheimer's is a diabetes of the brain.
Really?
Yeah. So it says that the body doesn't metabolize glucose well enough when it's out of balance, so it's causing a lot of more Alzheimer's than ever before. It's now called type 3 diabetes.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. Oh, I didn't. Okay. This is some good stuff. I'm learning some stuff that I just never knew. And it's interesting that you bring up depression, because yesterday there was something going around Facebook, and I wrote it down here. And it was basically a video that says that depression, they say that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain, but that it's actually caused by an imbalance in life and stems from societal issues. So they're saying that to get rid of depression requires a change in our society. So I thought that was interesting because as a therapist, I often work with clients, and I will send them to a psychiatrist to get medicated, for example, so that they can get on an even keel, so that they can then learn the coping mechanisms to deal with the stress and anxiety that's in their lives. Right. But now they're saying that it might not actually be that, but it's our society at large. I don't know. But so when I went on your website, it talked about how homeopathy.
Yep. Yes, you did.
Can help with depression and anxiety. Yes. So can we talk about that a little bit? Sure.
So homeopathy brings balance back to the body. And the brain. So if it's out of balance, we bring it back to balance, and we do it naturally, safely, effectively. Anytime you take any homeopathic remedy, it always works actually underneath any medications that you are on. So you never actually have to, stop taking any meds. In fact, I would never ever tell anyone to stop taking their meds. Ideally, what happens with homeopathy is that the need for the medications actually decreases. And my clients work with their primary care provider. And as they start feeling better, then they can reduce the medications that they're on. So it can bring back about balance, because homeopathy does treat the whole person, not just the physical body. And I do believe that it is a chemical imbalance that's taking place, but that chemical imbalance always comes about from a variety of ways, like the mental, emotional, and physical too. So to say that it's a society's issue, I have an issue with that, because that actually takes away the power of the person to do something about it. So yes, there's an issue in society with a lot of things, but I think there's so much that each person can do to heal themselves, that you start to bring back balance physically, and that can help, and they start to feel better. I think so often people with depression and anxiety don't even realize that they are depressed or anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I know myself, a number of years ago when my children were quite young, I didn't realize that I was depressed. I was actually, my iron levels were really quite low, and they always showed up like in the low end of the normal range. And so my doctor never said anything about it. Till finally I switched doctor, and a different doctor said, well, your hemoglobin levels are low, which affects your iron levels. And when I increased those hemoglobin levels, it was like the sun came out and the clouds went away, because I had been under the depression for probably 4 or 5 years, and just thought that it was because I had 3 kids and I was working full time and I was stressed out and couldn't handle it. So when I increased those iron and hemoglobin levels and started feeling better, so to me, it was like, that light was seen at the end of the tunnel, whereas before I didn't even know that the light wasn't on. So I think that starting to, recognize that, that how life should be, and that, we should feel joy and we should feel happiness, and we should want to get out and do things with friends and family, really goes a long way to helping people then go, oh, I can do something about it. I can change the way I eat. I can change how I see society. I can change how I see my life, because so much about our world, we can't change the world, but we can change how we see the world. So when we can see it differently,
yeah,
we can change.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I think when I saw that video, I was like, it's a different perspective, but I don't think it's all of it. Like, I think that's a piece of it. But I do believe there's the chemical imbalance, because like you, a few years ago, when I was going through a very highly stressful time in my life, my iron was severely low, my hemoglobin was very low, and I was going through extreme stress. So you put all of that together, and it was depression, is what they said. But when my doctor looked at it, he was like, oh my gosh, let's get your iron levels up. And when he did, you're right, it's like the birds came out, the sun came out, right? It's amazing. So there's a chemical thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you are the wellness renegade. You talked about that a little bit. Can you tell us more about that?
So, the wellness renegade, I was just kind of, daydreaming one day, and it was like, I've been thinking for a while, like, what do I call myself? As therapists are always, natural therapists are always looking for that elevator spiel or elevator pitch, right? Of how do I describe what I do? So it was like, wellness renegade. And it's like a renegade uses alternative options to achieve something. And so that's what I do, because we're all designed to heal ourselves. We've just forgotten how. So I teach people, or I empower people to understand natural therapies by demystifying them and educating people about them. So it's something that I'm really passionate about, because I really feel that we should be, medicine should always be integrative. It should never be one or the other. But ideally, we look for natural therapies first. Mm-hmm. And then when we don't find results that we're looking for, then we turn to conventional medicine for relief. But it shouldn't be that, the conventional medical model is just not working anymore, where we get sick and we go to the doctor and we come home and we take medications. People aren't satisfied with that. So let's give everyone the tools they need in order, when you've got a headache, rather than taking aspirin, you go, maybe there's a homeopathic substance that I can take to help with this, or maybe I just need some exercise, or maybe I just need more water in my diet. Yeah. So look at those things first before we take that aspirin. There's so much information out there about statin drugs. Now they're questioning whether or not statin drugs, which we take to lower cholesterol, whether or not we actually need statin drugs if we change our diet and actually increase good fats in our diet. Mm-hmm. It's been shown to decrease the amount of cholesterol in our systems. So there's lots that we can do in order to change our health. And so that's what I want to do, is teach people as much as possible about natural therapies and get them to understand them and be able to use them. And it's actually where I've written a book called The Magnificence of Magenta, and it's all about my path that I've followed over the last 15 years to heal myself. And it's all the different therapies that I've tried, how they worked for me, how they worked for some of my clients as I pass them on to them, and how it's a guidebook for people that, you know, want to go to try natural and they want more in their life, but they don't know where to start. And so I've written a guidebook for them.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And so how can people get that book?
The book is available through my website. And so there's Life Stages Holistics, but I also have a Joanna Rogister Wellness Renegade website. And it's just www.joannarogister.com. And it's available there. It's also available on Amazon in ebook form.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so I will make sure to get all of that information from you so that we can put it on the posts afterwards so people have that information as
Wonderful.
well. Yes, that would be great. My goodness. So we've talked about the Wellness Renegade. We have talked about the Ketogenic Diet. We have talked about depression. We have talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Is there anything, or is there anywhere that you're going to be in the near future where people can go to see you in person?
Sure. I've just started a forum to introduce people to different alternative therapies, and I'm bringing people together the first Wednesday of every month, and it's called Wellness Wednesday, and it's a lunch and learn, and they have the opportunity. Next month, I've got Carolyn Roden-Martin, who is a physiotherapist, and she does a variety of things. I've also got Janet Sandberg, who does energy healing, and Elsa Winkerton, who does essential oils, among other things. Yeah. And so they're going to be speaking. So it'll be April, the first Wednesday of April.
First Wednesday of April? First Wednesday.
Yeah.
Let's see, what's that? The 4th.
Yes, April 4th. And so from 11:30 to 1:30, and I had it at Craft Pharmacy, and I'll probably have it there again, which is a new restaurant on Warncliffe Road.
Craft Pharmacy?
Yes, Craft, like craft paper, CRAFT, and pharmacy, FRAMACY.
Okay. All right, so make sure to get that information, and so they can go see you live there. And I thought I saw you had a blog. You have a blog?
Yeah, well, I do on Life Stages Holistics, and I'm starting to switch it over to the new website because the difference, there's not a big difference, but Life Stages Holistics is more about the homeopathy, nutrition, and Wellness Renegade is more encapsulating the whole person. So I do a lot more coaching of people and helping them to see that other side, that, you know, if we can change the way you look at life, then we can change the way that you feel. So, and the people that have gone through trauma and grief, it's helping them find that light that at the end of the tunnel, and, you know, coaching them around how to work there, because I've come through disease, death, and divorce. And so, yeah, 3 wonderful Ds. My mother died in a car accident about 8 years ago. So I've learned a lot over the years, and now I help other people with that. So the blogs at the Life Stages Holistics, but it soon will transition over to JoannaRogister.com.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so what are some ways we can get a hold of you, Joanna? You have a website, and it's JoannaRogister.com.
Correct. Yeah.
And then Twitter?
Twitter is Life Stages H, because I haven't, it's kind of a bit hard because I haven't transitioned everything over yet. But Life Stages H. If you go to JoannaRogister.com, all the social media pieces are on there. And Instagram is Joanna Rogister. So yeah, it's all together, but Facebook, any of those lovely instruments that we have available to us now.
There's so many ways to get a hold of people these days.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for coming on, for spending some time with us. I would advise anyone who is really wanting to take hold of their health and transform their health, to contact Joanna. When we met at that event that we were talking about earlier, I was so intrigued by all of the information because I have a family where there's a lot of diabetes and high cholesterol, and to find that there's natural ways to lower that stuff and to get rid of it, it's yes, I need to know. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing tonight. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
No problem. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave any comments, any questions you have, and Joanna and I will make sure to go on, check it out, and answer all of your questions. Appreciate you guys coming on. Appreciate you so much. Take good care, and we will see you again next week for In Conversation with Jen Slay, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
Thanks, Jen.
Good night.